Get in Dilip Bhat as well on the fundamentals. And Dilip, afternoon, let's not really worth talking about the market setup because it's been awfully listless, and as we've been saying, this has been many days on the run. So let's talk about some of the stocks that are buzzing. Some of those oil exploration companies like a Ceylon, Aban Offshore, etc. are really doing their bit today. Any views here?
Well, I think they are in sync with the rising oil prices, as we all know. And I think once again, if one were to take a secular long-term view on some of these companies, it's very difficult to take, because I don't think that anybody has a real great hang on the way the oil prices are going to pan out. Maybe if it remains around this level also, then maybe most of these companies which you are talking about, the oil exploration companies, possibly would be near the top or would have topped out, unless and until you take a view that oil will go to 100, then it's a different ball game. But if you ask me personally, no, I would not like to get into that kind of guessing game on some of these commodities. So I'm not particularly gung-ho about some of these companies in this sector.
Dilip, good afternoon. Neeraj here. Is it prudent to make large allocations right now, even though some stocks may have become cheaper, because this market is not running away? What is available to you right now may be available at a better or the same price, maybe 1 month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months down the line.
Neeraj, certainly I think if you ask me that you have to make investments, yes, you have to make investments. Now, if you ask me whether you have to make large investments, I would be reluctant. I would, in my recommendation would be that if you have 100 rupees to invest, please spread it out over next 2 to 3 months, and I think that would be a much better approach, considering the fact that you are going to invest for next 1.5 years, because the near-term scenario is bit clouded with a little more uncertainty, and I think a lot more clarity would come only once this quarterly results, like December quarterly results, which probably will be a mixed bag, but few will still be good within that pack. But I think largely people will wait for that commentary as to what are the ground realities, because from whatever we can check on the channel checks or on the ground that we are trying to find out, I think still there is some amount of uncertainty. But this is not to say that the step taken by the government is wrong. I think this is something which is extremely good, which will pay very handsome dividends to everyone in the long run. But in the short run, I think I would still be little more cautious, and I would advise gradual putting of your investments over next 2 months.
Okay, just before we take that break though, Dilip, I want to get your thoughts on a discussion that we had with two NBFCs today, particularly Bharat Financial. People may talk about how great the collections are, and therefore business has not gotten impacted, so on and so forth, and yet the stock is crashing. The management was candid enough to say that they are not being able to do the disbursements as they would have liked, because they are only able to do disbursements out of the cash collections that they have done, and two, in certain cases they are not able to withdraw money from the banks. In certain cases they are not able to lend the money to people because they don't have the wherewithal to borrow money from SKS or Bharat Financial right now, and therefore, while they didn't put out a number, they did say that disbursements and therefore business has taken a big hit in the last 50 days. Now, therefore, my question to you is this 30-35% fall warranted? Can there be more? Because all I hear of late is arguments that because the stock has fallen 30-35%, it's a great value buy.
Certainly, I would subscribe to your view that just because it has fallen so much, it certainly doesn't become a great buy. Now, the question is whether the paradigm of doing business has changed. Well, in the short run, yes. Now, whether the short run will continue for next 6 months to 8 months is something which we are all grappling with and trying to understand. So what I would think is that the stock will continue to be, this company will continue to be under pressure. There will be no urgency or hurry to buy this particular stock unless and until the ground realities will start improving. So it doesn't matter if you buy even 10% higher later on. But I would say that the prudent approach would be that for a company like this, and with the background in which we are at the moment of the economy and the ground realities, I think it's better that we don't enter this stock even at the current levels. Wait for things to settle down. Maybe even slightly higher, I would be okay. But I would stay away from this stock for a while.
Okay, Dilip, couple of active pockets today. Firstly, we've seen a telecom deal happen, the tower business of Reliance Communications. Now, I mean, one, I don't know if you would want to comment on what it means for RCom. I mean, it's difficult to quite predict that because I don't think too much. But what do these valuations mean for some of the others as well? Because every other company, by and large, has intended to or has put their telecom tower assets on the block, be it Idea, Bharti Infratel, or for that matter, I think even Vodafone.
Well, I think there are two perspectives to that, Neeraj. One certainly is that as the competition intensifies and it takes its toll on the bottom line, the amount of cash available for reinvesting automatically comes down. At the same time, the capital intensity of the business only continues to go higher at the moment. So it is not surprising that a lot of these companies are thinking on those lines as to how to divest some of the assets which may not necessarily be the core assets, and how they can monetize them and how to use it for capex, because of the reasons why the money is, as I just told, why the money available for investment is getting lesser. So I think against this particular background, I would say that these things only dilute their problems a little, but they don't really take care of the entire problems. There is no doubt that the prices to have corrected, but this is one sector again where the intensity of the competition is yet to be played out, and without easing on the cash flows. So I think I would still prefer to take a back seat as far as the telecom sector is concerned. Would be very happy as they divest some more of their non-core assets. And for Reliance Communication in particular, I would say it is a stated objective of that group how to deleverage the entire group, and maybe Reliance Communication is in a step towards that direction, which is very positive for the group as such.
Dilip, before we thank you, I understand we have to let you go, but if we had to, look at infrastructure as a theme which could get back the growth, I mean, a clutch of names out there, the cement names, be it road companies, and then the whole host of other ancillaries. Where would you bet on? Because, if we had spoken about a month and a half ago, cement was looking terribly expensive. Now it looks like the valuations are at levels which are probably comforting for a long-term investor.
Right, Neeraj. I think as far as cement companies are concerned, they have been plagued by a chronically low demand growth in the last 2 years, and possibly if at all there is some revival, we will see that happening probably in 2017-18. So in that sense, yes, the cement companies have corrected, but they are also corrected for so many reasons, that because of the demonetization could be one of them, but it's also because the raw material costs have really compounded their problems. The increase in the raw material cost have compounded their problems, and possibly the growth continues to be insipid. But within that space, I would still prefer something like say an Ultratech, or India Cement can be a slightly contrarian call on that. But on an infra basis, I think names like Larsen Toubro or even Nagarjuna Constructions, or maybe something like a Sadbhav, some of these stocks look pretty interesting, largely because this particular sector should benefit because of the kind of money that the government has at the moment to spend, and which is what everybody is seeing an accelerated action out over there, expecting, and even the execution too should pick up. So I think all in all, some of the infra companies really hold out a good promise.
Thanks very much, Dilip, for taking time out and joining in with all that market expertise.